Today, we're tackling a challenge that so many of us face. I mean, whether we're learning a new skill or trying to express ourselves in a new language. You know that feeling, right?
Yeah.
You've studied for ages, you know the rules, you've got the vocabulary, but then when it's time to actually speak, you freeze.
Oh, absolutely. It's an incredibly common scenario, and we've seen it with countless learners. Think of someone we'll call John, for instance. He's been learning English for 2 years, really hitting the books, grammar, word lists.
Right.
Yet every time he tries to speak, his mind just gets, overwhelmed. He told us, I know the rules, I have many words in my head, but when I try to speak, I freeze.
Mm-hmm.
He worries so much about making mistakes, finding the perfect word, sounding flawless.
And that internal pressure, that's the absolute core problem we're diving into today, isn't it? Our mission here is to pull out the most valuable, actionable strategies from the material you've shared, really help you speak English naturally, confidently. We want to shift your focus from that rigid perfection to powerful, authentic communication. Think of this as like your shortcut to unlocking natural English conversation.
Exactly. And the root of John's problem and so many others is precisely that overthinking. It's that internal monologue,
Yeah.
constantly self-correcting, fearing judgment.
Yeah.
It just completely shuts down spontaneous speech.
That voice.
Yeah, that relentless voice telling you, is my grammar right? Is this the perfect word? What if I sound silly? It's paralyzing.
So, okay, if that internal voice is the problem, what's the immediate practical step someone can take? Right then, in the moment. How do you even begin to counteract that intense self-censorship?
Well, what's fascinating here is the foundational shift our sources recommend.
Yeah.
It's about moving from seeking perfection to simply prioritizing communication. That's the key.
Communication first.
Right. The true goal isn't flawless grammar or perfect pronunciation. It's about getting your ideas across, connecting with people. Think about how you talk to a close friend or maybe your family. You're relaxed. You're authentic.
Yeah, you don't filter every word.
Exactly. You're not constantly correcting yourself. That's the mindset to aim for. It sort of allows your brain to bypass that internal censor because the pressure's off.
I see what you mean. It's like giving yourself permission to just be rather than, performing. That makes so much sense. And there's a great story that really shows this. Sarah, remember her?
Oh, yeah. Sarah's story is perfect here.
She was initially so shy about speaking English, always felt like she needed perfect grammar before opening her mouth. Her husband, David, just kept encouraging her, like, Sarah, just speak your mind no matter what.
Just get it out there.
Oh, yeah. And she started small, just telling him simple things about her day, critically, without stopping to correct herself. And over time, she just blossomed. Her confidence soared, her English improved like crazy, simply because she prioritized the message, not perfecting every single word.
And that builds perfectly on that idea. Our first practical strategy is exactly that. Focus on the message, not the individual words. If you forget a specific word, and it happens to everyone, don't let it stop you cold.
Right. Don't freeze.
Our sources suggest using a different word or just describing the concept. It actively combats that overthinking because it gives you an immediate out, an alternative to just freezing up.
So if you're mid-sentence and suddenly the word for, fridge just vanishes, instead of grinding to a halt, you just say the cold box where we keep food or something like that.
Exactly.
It keeps the conversation flowing smoothly, and crucially, it bypasses that mental block, doesn't it? It's about being resourceful, not perfect, which has to reduce the anxiety that fuels the overthinking.
Precisely. And that leads us naturally to another really crucial strategy for breaking free. Embracing simplicity. Use short sentences.
Okay. Not trying to build complex masterpieces.
No. Effective communication doesn't need difficult words or long, convoluted sentences. Often, simple, clear sentences are far more effective. Plus, they reduce the cognitive load.
Less mental juggling.
Right. Which gives less room for that self-critical voice to jump in and start picking things apart.
That's a huge insight. I'm thinking about Mark.
Yeah.
Works in an office. Everyone speaks English. Initially, he'd just freeze in meetings, trying to prepare these perfect, elaborate sentences in his head. He'd barely speak.
Yeah, the pressure gets too high.
Totally. But then he shifted. He started speaking more often, even if it wasn't perfect. He used short, clear sentences, asked simple questions if he didn't understand.
And how did that go down?
His coworkers really appreciated the effort, and he felt so much less pressure. It just shows that getting the words out simply can build confidence and kind of systematically dismantle that need to overthink.
So to put this into practice right away, try describing your favorite place, like a park. Keep it simple and clear. Maybe talk to yourself or someone you trust. You might say, "Our park is big and green. There are many trees."
And a small lake. I like to walk there every morning. Something like that.
Exactly. Or describe your day. "Today I went to the market. I bought fresh vegetables and some fruit. The weather was nice and I felt happy." It trains your brain to communicate ideas efficiently. You don't give yourself the time or mental space for that overthinking loop to even start. It's about building a direct path from thought to speech.
Okay, so if simplicity helps reduce the mental load, the environment you practice in must be just as crucial for breaking free from overthinking. Which brings us to what our sources call the power of practicing with trust. Imagine speaking to someone who genuinely trusts and cares about you, like, say, your husband or wife. That has to reduce self-judgment, foster relaxation. But how does that mental shift practically reduce the self-criticism?
Well, it's about reframing the whole interaction, isn't it? If you imagine someone simply wanting to hear what you have to say, rather than evaluating your grammar, your brain naturally relaxes.
Okay, the focus shifts.
Right. That's the core insight James shared with Emma. Emma was learning English for work, felt immense worry about being judged. James told her, "Emma, the secret is to speak like you are telling a story. Don't worry about mistakes. Just speak."
Just tell the story.
Yeah. He emphasized that people want to understand you, not judge your perfection. When you really internalize that, you stop trying to achieve some impossible standards. You just focus on sharing your thoughts, your feelings.
I can totally relate to that. It's like David, the nurse we read about. He needed clear English for his job, obviously, but was initially terrified to talk to patients. He was so afraid of mistakes.
A high-stakes situation.
Definitely. But his wife encouraged him, saying, "Just speak. The patients want to understand you, not perfect English." So he started small. Simple sentences like, "How do you feel today?"
Baby steps.
Exactly. And when he forgot a word like painkiller, he didn't panic. He'd calmly explain it. It is medicine for pain. That direct approach, focusing on being understood, not being perfect, it completely transformed his confidence, allowed him to bypass that internal censor.
And these stories really highlight some powerful, actionable tips for everyday practice. The most crucial one: genuine improvement comes through consistent practice, not being paralyzed by the fear of mistakes.
Right. It's a skill.
Speaking English is a skill, and like any skill, it gets better with time and practice. Simple as that. By practicing consistently, you are actively rewiring your brain. You're strengthening those communication pathways over the fear-driven ones that lead to overthinking.
And it's so important to distinguish, isn't it, between a helpful pause, maybe to organize your thoughts, and that detrimental overthinking driven purely by fear.
Absolutely. That's a key distinction.
If you find yourself pausing the advices, just take a deep breath and keep going. Your listeners will usually understand. Anna, the teacher, remember her presentation?
Yes, she was a great example.
Yeah. She spoke slowly, used simple words, paused when she needed to, and calmly explained words she forgot. And the audience, totally supportive. She felt proud because she communicated clearly, even with those small, natural hesitations. It just proves that confidence in delivering the message outweighs perfect delivery every single time.
And beyond actively speaking, don't underestimate active listening. That's key to combating overthinking, too. Daily listening to simple topics, routines, food, weather, helps your brain internalize English sounds and patterns. And crucially, it does this without the pressure of having to speak yourself.
So it seeps in more naturally.
Exactly. It deepens your intuitive understanding, making speaking feel more natural and less like a complex translation exercise when it is your turn.
Right, building that subconscious fluency. Okay, and then there's that really powerful technique, shadowing.
Shadowing. Great technique.
That's where you listen to someone speaking English and immediately repeat what you hear, right? Mimicking their rhythm, their flow.
Yes. It trains your mouth and your brain to internalize the natural cadence of the language. And it does this without the cognitive load of generating original thoughts, which directly bypasses that mental block that often leads to overthinking.
Interesting. Also, the idea of just describing your surroundings in simple English, like looking around now. The microphone is black. The wall is white.
Simple observations. It trains your brain to think in English in real time, which reduces the need for that mental translation step and all the overthinking that comes with it.
Okay. Another one was mini storytelling.
Yes, another effective method. Think about your day and tell a short personal story. Simple sentences. To yourself or someone you trust. Like, I woke up at 7 a.m., I brushed my teeth, I made some toast, I drank water.
Very basic, step by step.
It helps you practice forming coherent thoughts in English without the immediate pressure of a listener. You're gradually building the muscle for spontaneous speech, and reducing that internal censor's power.
And finally, a classic that still works wonders for overcoming that inner critic: journaling. Write a few sentences daily about your day, your plans, whatever, then read them aloud.
Simple habit, big impact.
Our sources show it helps build both speaking confidence and fluency, because you're forming thoughts in English without that immediate pressure, like you said. It's practice on your own terms.
And beyond these techniques, just mastering some common phrases for different situations can really boost your confidence. They act like ready-made bridges in conversation, you see. Reducing the mental effort needed to construct sentences from scratch.
Like what kind of phrases?
Oh, things like, I think so. That makes sense. Or can you explain more? They keep things flowing.
Right. Conversational glue. And crucially, it's okay to ask for help. Michael, who joined that sports club, found most people are actually friendly and happy to clarify things.
They generally want to help you understand.
Exactly. Politeness goes a long way. He learned to say, "Can you say that again, please?" Or "Could you speak a bit more slowly?" Asking for clarification isn't a sign of weakness, it's engagement. And it instantly diffuses that pressure to perform perfectly.
This whole process, learning to speak without overthinking, it's really like building a bridge. You don't need perfect bricks, right? You just need enough to connect one side to the other.
I like that analogy.
Or like riding a bike, learning to swim, building a house, planting a garden, even walking upstairs. It all gets easier with consistent, focused effort. Every small attempt is a step forward. It really solidifies the idea that progress, not perfection, is the goal.
Okay, so let's get really practical. Let's talk about some specific contexts where you can apply these strategies. We're starting super simple here, not because you can't say more, but because mastering these low-pressure situations helps rewire your brain, helps prioritize communication over perfection. So first up, daily routines.
Right. Foundational stuff.
Instead of trying to build complex sentences, focus on short, clear descriptions. I wake up at 6:30. I brush my teeth. I eat breakfast. It's just about describing your day step by simple step.
Yes, and you can extend that easily to hobbies and interests. Simple phrases like, I like gardening, or I enjoy reading. These are perfect starting points. Because the topic is personal and familiar, it naturally shifts your focus to sharing your enthusiasm. Rather than getting stuck on perfect grammar, it actively sidesteps the overthinking.
And food and cooking. Everyone talks about food, right? It's fantastic for practice. The topics are so concrete, so universal, it really helps focus on the message. I cook chicken with garlic and onions. Or, I like rice. I cook pasta. These everyday topics are great for low-pressure practice that trains your brain to just speak.
Thinking about future plans can also be simplified right down. I will visit my parents. Or, I want to learn cooking. They're straightforward ways to express intentions without complex grammar. That directness reduces the chance for overthinking to creep in, because the goal is just conveying the future action. Simple.
Then there's health and habits. I drink water. I exercise. Again, simple, common actions you can describe easily. These are areas you know well, making it easier to just articulate rather than analyze every word choice.
Asking for directions is another really practical area. Where is the post office? Or go straight, then turn right. Basic, yes, but essential phrases. They demonstrate your ability to communicate effectively. And the immediate practical need for that information forces your brain to prioritize clarity over perfection. It directly challenges that overthinking habit.
And shopping. Remember Rachel, who moved to an English-speaking country? She started with things like, I want 3 tomatoes, please, and how much is this?
Real-world needs.
Exactly. Even describing items at home. This is a red apple. It is fresh. All of these build your confidence brick by brick because they force you to communicate a real need or observation simply without time for self-doubt.
And of course, you can always talk about the weather and seasons, universal topic. It's sunny and warm, or it's cold today. You can even start comparing. Today is colder than yesterday.
Easy comparisons.
And connect weather to feelings. I feel happy when it's sunny. These are common, relatable topics for pretty much any conversation. They create low-stakes practice environments where the emphasis is naturally on sharing a common experience, not on grammatical accuracy.
You know, this deep dive into our sources really highlights one core thing. Speaking English without overthinking really comes down to trusting yourself, understanding that mistakes are just, well, an absolutely natural part of learning.
A necessary part, even.
Yeah. And focusing relentlessly on connection, on communication, rather than some unattainable idea of perfection. It's about changing that internal conversation.
Absolutely. And remember, you can do this. Practice regularly. Use those simple sentences we talked about. Focus on your message, because that's what truly matters in the end. And, as our sources emphasized again and again, try practicing with someone who trusts and supports you, like your husband or wife, maybe a friend, or even just with yourself looking in a mirror. Every single attempt counts. It's an act of breaking free from that self-imposed pressure.
Exactly. Every single time you try to speak English, no matter how small or imperfect it feels in that moment, it's not just practice. It really is like a brick laid in the bridge of your communication. It's a step towards silencing that nagging, overthinking voice and making your connections to the English-speaking world stronger, more natural, and ultimately much more meaningful. Keep building that bridge.